Good evening everybody, Simon here, Explosive Action, back for my much delayed black metal vinyl update. I've got 12 albums here to talk about, so let's get into it. In the background, and what I'm wearing on my shirt, is the fantastic second album from KRVNA, For Thine is the Kingdom of the Flesh. I have talked about this album and I've done a review on the Heavy Metallurgy channel. Link will be in the description below. Go check it out. But the short version is, the album rules, go buy it. The first one we're going to take a look at here is Despondent Moon, Enshrouded in Eternal Moonlight. Look at this album cover. I mean, isn't that just ticking all the boxes for your one-man like black metal band these days? You've got the, you know, the flourish, the flowery border thing. You've got the black and white photography. It's slightly different as it doesn't have, you know, the guy here just doing these ones. I believe he might be hidden behind the candelabra. But anyway, enough about the aesthetics. This is the 2021 release of One Man Raw Black Metal Band out of the UK. And this is their fourth album since 2019. The second album for me. I've got the debut on cassette, and I always wanted to get a vinyl. I found this one at His Wounds, which is the label that put it out. I'll talk about more of that in a moment. What do you get here? Icy, sharp trem riffs, screeched, distorted vocals, way back in the mix, a bit like Burzum's Philosopheme, you know, that, you know, getting the cruddy old microphone and doing the shrieks that he did back then. It's got like a blasting drum machine to it. It's a reasonably obvious drum machine, but it kind of works well for what he's doing here. It's got sort of double kicks and D-beat kind of thing. Like I said, it's all programmed. The bass is completely absent. I couldn't hear it. That's fine with me. It's black metal. The focus is clearly on the melody of the riffs. This is a riff-focused black metal band. And the supporting keys as well that, you know, just add a bit more of an atmosphere to it. Obviously, it's often quite triumphant sounding with those keyboards. There's even like a short little piano interlude, medieval dungeon synth track or two. Like, it's all your, you know, the common elements that you hear in a lot of the raw black metal bands from around the 2019 to present kind of period. But the programmed drums combined with the banshee vocals actually reminds me a lot of like Dark Space or Paysage de Verre. A lot of Paysage in this one. Yeah, I was expecting a bit more, you know, it's your Lamp of Murmuur style. And look, it's there in the Ebony Pendant, that kind of stuff. But yeah, the Dark Space, definitely a bit of that there. The programmed drums really help bring that flavour out. 10 tracks, 40 minutes, you get your value for sure. Very obtuse song titles here in the Germanic font. We get Apparition of the Countess Descending the Spiral Staircase. I wonder if that's her here. Maybe she has descended and has you know, lit the candelabra after her long journey down that staircase. And Drowning in the vociferous screams of winter's swan song. Such a mouthful, but the riffs, man, it's all about the riffs in this one. Like I said, it's a His Wounds pressing. This came out in 2021. And I was talking to the owner of His Wounds about another order, and I said I was contemplating picking this up, and he said, well, it's the last one, so you might want to do that. So I did. So yes, this was the last copy from the label. There's the His Wounds logo, and yeah, just there's the imprint there. These are all black, so there's a very little point me showing them. But I imagine you could probably find this in some distros. There was one, like I said, left at the label, which I picked up, but look around and you might find some more copies of Despondent Moon, Enshrouded in Eternal Moonlight. Next up, we have the long-awaited reissues of the very first two demos or albums, whatever you want to call it, from this pretty well-known raw black metal band. We are talking about Lamp of Murmuur, and this is Thunder, Vigil, and Ecstasy, followed by Melancholy Howls in Ceremonial Penitence. So many words, and again, you can see it's, you know, that you get your border, you get your man screaming. It's been a theme for a while. I get it. It's fine. I've always loved their logo. It's a great one. But anyway, this band has evolved quite a lot since these early days. Early days, I mean, we're only talking like 2018 or something here. It's not like this is from the 90s. But anyway, their previous album out, I think it was last year. It might have been last year, might have been the year before, I can't remember exactly. Had a bit of 80s goth influence in there, people were commenting on, which was unexpected. And their very new album, which is promos are out now, and the release comes out in about a week. That is total and utterly new logo era immortal worship, which is pretty far removed from particularly this first release here, Thunder Vigil and Ecstasy. It's very short, it's only 13 minutes, so this one really is a demo tape that's been put onto LP. That's fine. And in the early days of this band, it was incredibly nasty and raw sounding black metal, as seen particularly on this track. Which one is it? The Priestess Bathing in Bull's Blood. Ooh, it sounds like a horrible thing. It's pretty nasty, that track, pretty savage. Not always, though, is this demo playing at full blistering speed. The side B track, this one here, Thunderous Weeps, coming from the altar, has sort of a mid-pace, like rolling double kick. Sounds a bit like Heves Lasset Taros, era Burzum. And the final track in here is a Demoncy cover, or Demoncy cover? Demoncy cover, which sounds very different. Like, it's very bestial and death metal sounding, but it works well. So yeah, this is a good start for the band. But they far graduated with their second album here, which is, or the second demo, Melancholy Howls in Ceremonial Penitence, which is far more reminiscent of everything that comes after it for quite a period of time. This sort of sets a template. The lead track on this one, Chalice of Oniric Perversions, you can't see there, I didn't bother putting the titles on the back. That has sort of like a buzzing guitar tone that is really the staple of Lamp of Murmur's music for quite some time. It has a very distinct and recognisable guitar tone. It really starts here, not so much on that first demo, but it really kicks off on this album. And this one really is more of an album. This is quite lengthy compared. This is about half an hour. Even has some of the sort of slower breaks in this one again that shows a glimmering, just a glimmering of those immortalisms that were going to come later. Just some of that, like, that icy riffing that, Demon Az was known for. You can start hearing it a little bit in this one. But, then you move on to, I might have turned around, the song titles are not there. There's a track on here called Vertical Horrors, vertical with a K, I don't know why. And that's nasty again, like that first demo. So it's still demo territory here, just starting to spread the wings a little bit more. But yeah, overall, these are really good reissues that were put out by Night of the Pale Moon, which has some connection to a label called Not Cult Records, and I think you might even see that on the back of this one here. It says Not Cult Records down at the bottom. I understand it's pretty much one and the same thing, but at the moment, the debut one has sold out direct, but you can still get copies of the second one. And if you're going to get one of the two, get this second one. It's more well-rounded. It's a really good representation of Lamp of Murmur's music. So, yeah, check it out. Lamp of Murmur, Thunder Vigil and Ecstasy, and Melancholy Howls in Ceremonial Penitence. Before I move on to the next one, when I ordered those two demo LPs from Night of the Pale Moon, he chucked in this 7-inch, which is a flexi disc, which was from the Decibel magazine. I guess they had extra copies, and I was never going to buy the magazine, but this is one track, Beyond the Burning Star of Attrition, which is a really good track. And man, I've never had one of these flexi things before. It literally is a piece of plastic, and I was surprised it played. Honestly, once you get past the opening couple of grooves, which is, it's pretty crackly because this is not proper vinyl. Honestly, it sounded pretty good. Once it got in there, it sounded like most other 7-inches that I've got. So yeah, not a bad release, considering there's a free chuck-in as well. But the one I'm actually here to talk about is a very new release. This one came out on GoToWireX and was one of those deals, of course, you've got to get up at 2 a.m. to try and order. Though, in fact, in this time, when Danny rolled the dice for what hours he should drop the orders, it was in my favour for a nice 8 a.m. Sydney time. So I'm talking about Lamp of Murmuur again with Ebony Pendant. This is called Plenilunar, or Plenilunar Requiems. I don't know what Plenilunar is, but anyway. Fantastic release, absolutely. So a split album, of course, or 2 EPs really, I suppose. new material from both bands, and the CD version came out about a year ago, pretty much a year ago today. So it's not, particularly the Lamp stuff, is not like the brand new album that's coming out in a week. It is going back a little bit, but it is quite different from the demos I just showed. Musically, it does predate, like I said, but it's got some similarities. It is more like the Lamp that you're used to. So yeah, this came out in February, and look, yeah, it's gone from Gärgäntuäh RX directly. It's unfortunately gone. It was there for a week, I gotta say. He did multiple color variants. He did a picture disc. There was enough to go around, and it was up for a solid 7 days. At least this edition that I picked up. I happened to pick the one that people weren't going for, I suppose. There was one color variant left. I'll show that towards the end. But anyway, yeah, the Lamp side of this one's kind of more D-beat focused, so that two-step black metal, particularly with that first track, riding towards the Titanic diadem. We're actually on the Lamp side over here. And yeah, it still does do rage along, and it does have the blast and that kind of thing, but it starts off, yeah, a bit more straightforward and a bit more pulled back. It has, what was really cool, some real guitar leads in this, some like actual kind of solo stuff going on. Vocally too, quite deep, much deeper than I'm used to with normal Lamp stuff. He was, yeah, really getting a bit guttural and snarly in this one, less shrieky. I dig that approach. I think it's really quite good. And yeah, way more variety in this Lamp side than on the demos that I just showed. He's definitely progressed as a musician. Lamp is a one-man band. The end of the second song in this one, Nocturnal Vengeance, wasn't expecting that. That is like total 80s southern rock, like Skinner or something. Was not expecting that. Like, it's got a weird solo that does not sound black metal, and these tom fills that don't really seem like they should be there, but it totally works, and then leads straight into just chaotic black metal blasting. So unexpected, but it worked out really well. Yeah, and the final track is very pretty sounding, and Anguish, Always Anguish, which is kind of sort of a symphonic and acoustic guitar piece. That was really quite nice. The Ebony Pendant side, Ebony Pendant, I think I've shown some of their stuff before. Really good band as well, another one-man band. Also from the US. Their approach is a little bit more like Gärgäntuäh, if you know them, I'm sure you do. The second track on this one, Perish Spirits Dissolving into Moonlight. Damn, the riffs on that. Probably the best Ebony Pendant song that he's made so far. Really, really good. And this is, for Ebony Pendant, I think this is pretty much the latest material. I don't think there's anything that was recorded after this that I'm aware of. Yeah, quite possibly the best track that he's done. It's ripping fast, trem picking, very creative riffs with some subtle keyboards in it. Very snappy, fast drums, a lot of variation in that one song. It's a real highlight. And then the final track, Opus 28, number 4, Chopin. And it is played on 2 electric guitars, undistorted, bit of keys for atmosphere, and it sounds really good, quite spooky, you know, melancholy, really fits it quite well. So yeah, it's a very well-rounded release. Now let's talk about the release. Amazing cover, like it's a really thick stock. You get the obi that he always does, and it's a gatefold. Wonderful looking presentation. And like, it's almost worth me showing how thick this is. Look at this is the thickest cardboard I've ever seen on a record. It weighs an absolute ton. Inside, we get, I chose the silver press, which I thought was really nice. There were some others that I didn't think were great. There was a bright green, there was a blue, and they all seemed to sell out first, which I found puzzling because, you know, everything here is silver, so it made sense to stick with silver. Like, it just looked more aesthetically pleasing. There's Lamp, and on the other side, there's Ebony. So, yeah, really nice release, very well presented. Try your distros, because it's pretty much, I've only had this for a few days, and usually what happens once it's sold out, the distros start getting their copies out. So if you're interested in this split between Lamp of Murmuur and Ebony Pendant, go check your distros. Moving swiftly away from one-man black metal band territory, going back in time as well. This is my first album that I've ever picked up from a band called Thirst. This is Per Aspera ad Astra, This band come out of Poland. Very symphonic, pagan-sounding black metal. This is the band's second full length, came out in 2004, but it was recorded in 1997 and presumably shelved. So we have actually here a kind of a lost 90s piece of black metal, although it did come out in 2004. This is, yeah, I had never heard of this band before. They had a 1994 album as well, which is a bit more raw. I'm not too familiar with it. I've only given it a cursory listen. I don't own it. I am looking to get a copy, but I heard a sample of this one online, and I loved what I heard. This was exactly the kind of black metal that I was looking for. Very obviously mid-90s, because it is mid-90s sounding. Lush, rich, organic sounding, melodic black metal. The biggest comparison I've got for Thirst is Obtained Enslavement, their Witchcraft album. Very similar stuff going on here. And if this is 97, that was recorded in 96 and came out in 97. So yeah, it could be coincidence, or maybe they heard it and that's what the kind of thing they wanted to do. I'm not too sure, but it's very similar to these ears. Also, of course, very early Emperor, first album Satyricon, Stormblast, Dimmer World Year, that kind of stuff. That's what you get on this. But really that Obtained Enslavement sound is what I hear. A lot of synth, lots of synth, including church bells and other electronic extras. Just a bit of Polish pagan flair going on as well. The drumming is quite good. Lots of variation. And I was surprised because apparently it's programmed, and that I found surprising entirely because it's really well it sounds great. The drums sound great. Apparently not real. Certainly not, the usual 90s sounding programmed drums, which sounded like, paint tin cans. This is, go listen to Lord Chaos's album. Those programmed drums, they're the most obvious programmed drums ever. This came out same year, or was recorded the same year. Sounds so much better. So look, unless there's a mistake and this was real drums, but everything I'm reading says programmed drums. Guitars absolutely ferocious, vocally pretty screeched with sort of occasional church style choir singing sections. Lyrically, it all seems to be about literally taking an axe to God. And that was interesting. I was reading through some of the lyrics, and a lot of it was just that. Just, I have my axe and I'm crushing God. Okay, they've got a thirst for it, and, follow that with a guitar solo, because why not? Thirst. I played this probably half a dozen times since I've got it. It is precisely that sound of 90s black metal that I really like, so it's exciting when I find one that I haven't heard of before, and that's exactly what this is. 97, came out in 04, melodic sounding black metal, very well produced without being overproduced. It's just really excellent. And yeah, this reissue came out on Astra, and also the 1994 album is out as well. So there you go. I'm curious to check out that first album. We'll take a quick look in here. It is, I think, just black. Yeah, just black, but it has a nice center label. So yeah, if you are interested in some kind of astral sounding black metal that wants to smash God in the face with an axe, check out Thirst. The next three albums I'm going to talk about back to back as one entity, because I'm kind of kicking myself for not having paid attention to this band earlier. I actually was kicking myself because I've known about them for a long time. I've seen the logo for years. I've just never bothered checking them out until I tripped over this, one of them in a shop locally, and I thought, I know that. Look, it's time to give it a listen. Popped my headphones on in the shop and walked out the door with the album, which was a used copy, which didn't look used to me. The band I'm talking about is Abhor out of Italy. They've been around since 1995. I'm only listening to them this year. Actually, it was probably December, and I got the first album that I picked up. Man, I don't know. I should have heard these guys a long time ago, because this is outstanding black metal of the very ancient school sounding. So good. It's kind of, try to describe it, it's kind of like a plodding, deliberate pace. Has a lot of space for drums to do more than what you normally expect. Just a lot of interesting things going on with the drums. It is drenched. I mean, absolutely drenched in an evil church organ. Very witchy sounding stuff, like acid witch, witch-tanic hallucinations without the bong. That's what you sound like here. It is so good. Guitars, they take a bit of a back seat overall with Abhor. The bass is a bit more prominent, which is not surprising when it comes to some of the bands I'm going to compare this to. On this latest album here, which is called Sex, 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 get it? Triple sex? And you can sort of see some of the witchy kind of themes going on here. And that little bit of that, leather and perverse kind of thing, they got that going as well. But the latest album here, the keyboards are played by Lord Vagitor from War Moon Lord out of Finland. So that was a nice surprise. I didn't realise that till I was doing a bit of research. Very, very memorable, unique sounding songs. It is the kind of stuff that the chorus will get stuck in your head in the shower. It's happened to me a few times, particularly with this album. This is their latest, and I'm pretty much going to say I think it's my favourite of the three. I am new to the band, and I'm listening to 3 albums pretty much on constant rotation, but I'm finding myself really liking this one. And this is a 2022 album, which means, damn it, I wish I knew about it last year, because it would have been going on the list. Absolutely going on that top 20. Oh well, we can't hear everything, can we, on day one? But anyway, these guys here, they don't try and impress you with their speed or their technicality. It is just well-crafted, very old-sounding, occult black metal. Mortuary Drape, old Necromantia, probably the most obvious comparisons. Also, it's a lot of where I hear bands like Crowlock getting some of their sound from, even though they're a bit more on the vampiric edge. A lot of musically, there's a lot of similarities here. Cemetery Lights owe a bit of a debt, I think, to this band. Cemetery Lights have that very pronounced bass and that very ancient sound. So do Abhor. So yeah, the one I've got here is Sex, 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 which, can I show that? Probably not. This came out, well, they all came out on Iron Bonehead, these reissues. This one's a nice gatefold. Very satanic looking in there, even though it's probably not really the theme, you know, it's all more about around the witch's cauldron. Yeah, just another black one, and a very evil looking, they're a 5-piece. Got the pentagram, got all the outside shots going on there, which is great. Lyrics, and we'll put this one down because I also picked up, this is the one I picked up in the shop and I can just about show it. This one is Occulta Religio, I think. No, that's not, because I can't read this. This one is Ritualia Stramonium, right, which is the second last one from maybe 2019 or so. I've forgotten exactly when this came out. It is another excellent one, and there's another gatefold. So I'm not going to say that there's, a great deal of difference between the albums. Abhor have their sound, and they just are writing great riffs and continuing that sound with every album. Another one on black, and you get, this is just an Iron Bonehead stuff to buy sheet. And I believe we have here a very perverse poster. Oop. Not so much perverse, but that's pretty cool. I like that poster. And you can at least read this one here, Ritualia Stramonium. So that's the second album. And the third one, which is in fact the earliest of them. I think this is maybe 2015 or 16. I didn't note this down. This one is Occulta Religio. Definitely very occult looking cover on that one. And it's also an excellent album. This one's probably got the most raw sound, I think, in production. But it is great. Not a gatefold. Not too sure who this sub-label is here. And Venom Sabbat? Maybe that's the original label, but Iron Bonehead is doing the recent reissues. So yeah, very, very stoked to finally pick up some Abhor, because this is becoming a new favourite, to be honest. I've been playing all 3 of these quite a lot. I've been told for years I should check them out. I know some people that are big fans of them, and it just never happened. But I am telling you to make it happen. Do you like black metal? Do you like the old sounding occult stuff that's a bit stripped back? Check out Abhor. You like Necromantia? You like Mortuary Drape? Please check out Abhor. So yeah, all kind of similar. There is stuff before this album, maybe 3 or 4 albums. They're a bit harder to get. Most of them are only on CD. One of them is on Moribund, I think. But the recent reissues from Iron Bonehead of all of these 3, quite easy to get. So make sure you pick them up. If you're going to get any of them, if you just want to try one, I would suggest the new one, Sex, Sex, Sex. But honestly, just get all 3, because Abhor, this stuff rocks. Next up, we have a two-piece from the Netherlands. This is a reasonably newish band. This is called Gärgäntuäh. I'm going to show two releases from them. This one here is called Urmystic, spelled Urmystyk, Urmystic, from Netherlands. These guys play a very straightforward Scandinavian-sounding black metal of old. We've got here, this is the 2021 full length, and I also have the prior EP that came out in 2020. This is Dodonlicht. We'll talk about this one first. So, Urmystic, old Gorgoroth mixed with a bit of Finnish scene bands. It's kind of what I hear with this stuff. You get some, your traditional black metal, but you get some like haunting choirs, deep spoken word passages. Happen quite a lot. Add a bit of flourish to this, add a bit more atmosphere to it. Some mouth harp, lots of soundscapes of birds and wind and all that kind of stuff. Very black metal, particularly on the third track on this one, called Nodfear. That one's got all your bird life, absolutely. Lots of light keys as well for atmosphere. It's not a huge instrument in here, just a background, nice light atmosphere of keyboards. But otherwise, it's just a solid black metal album. It is really, really good. Snarled vocals, drums keep up at pace, the thin trem guitars that you love. All the good stuff you expect from a black metal album. Gärgäntuäh, it's like produced very well for this style. Every instrument's quite well balanced, and frequently this album feels quite epic. And I think that's because when it slows down, that's often when the deeper spoken vocals come into it. And those spoken vocals sound like Treebeard from Lord of the Rings. That was the impression I got. Look, he's probably in that forest right now, and they'll see him go, "Oh, I've had enough of hobbits today." That was the worst impression. But anyway, I hear a lot of that here in Gärgäntuäh. Not as amusing though. It's deadly serious for sure. And yeah, really good stuff. This one is on a nice gatefold. Got the inverted cross there because black metal. But yeah, I don't think I've heard anybody really talking about this band on black. So yeah, definitely going to recommend this one. Thought there was lyrics in there, but I can't find just the gatefold. Definitely going to recommend this one. Urmystic, the back of it yet again. And the EP that comes prior, Dodonlicht, it is just as good, probably slightly a bit more raw. If you like it a little bit more raw and slightly less polished, maybe start here. Overall, I like Urmystic the most. It's just more well-rounded, has more... I think, it's traditional stuff. You've done your demo, you do your EP, then you do your album. Your album is your best, you hope. I think that's what's happened here with Gärgäntuäh. So, yeah, really good stuff. Two members make up the band, and they have the pseudonyms of Unknown. That guy's on drums and keyboards, and another one who's called Forgotten, and he is on guitars and vocals. He's certainly not forgotten to play the guitars and the vocals on this one. Really, really good stuff here from Gärgäntuäh. They are both guys are in another band that I now want to check out called, I don't know how to say this one, Udegst. Udegste. How would you say that? Udegst? Whatever. I'm going to check that one out because Gärgäntuäh was awesome, and I'm sure that is too. So I did an order from the distributor called Amorfati recently, or Amorfati, I'm not so sure. And some of the stuff you've seen today came from some large orders. I did two significantly sized orders over the end of year and start of year period. It makes sense with this kind of distro because once you hit a certain threshold, the shipping doesn't go up. And also once you hit that threshold, the shipping becomes faster, more premium DHL service. So I just save up and go for a bunch at once. And we've seen a few today. In my last order, he was very kind, because I had a bit of a chat to and fro just about the orders and stuff that's coming up, to throw in a freebie, and this freebie is superb. It is excellent, so I'm really happy that he did. This is a album by a band called Frozen Graves. It's called An Age of Emptiness. It doesn't say it there on the front, but does it say it on the spine? It does say it there on the spine, so trust me. An Age of Emptiness by Frozen Graves. Wow, what a bonus this was. Absolutely. Very international band. It's made up of Finnish and French members. I mean, it's all on the continent, I suppose. Vocals, I mean, obviously it's black metal. Everything here is black metal today. But vocals on this one, kind of on the howling side, that kind of thing. Handled by a guy called Kaelsgott, spelled with a K with 2 T's on the end. He's the vocalist of the very, very excellent French black metal band Cenotaph with an E. Love that band, got all their stuff, and he is on here doing vocals, so that was really good. Guitars and drums handled by 2 members of another band, another international black metal band that I've not heard, called Asymmetry. I need to go check them out because stuff they're doing here is really good. So Asymmetry, one for me to check out. The drummer particularly is also in another band. He's one of the Finnish guys. He is drums here, but he's vocalist for the band Starcave. Starcave had an album in 2020 that was my #1 album of the year. It was so friggin' good, and he is on here switching up instruments, doing the drums, so that was a nice surprise. Really, really good. And honestly, I can hear a bit of Starcave in this Frozen Graves. Not a bad comparison, honestly, musically. Like, this is a touch speedier than Starcave, which is really quite slow black metal, but it's not a thrashing album whatsoever. It's quite somber. Guitars have a real reverb and dissonance to them. Kind of remind me of Bethlehem, like it's way back in the mix there, like played in another room kind of thing. There's a riff on the second track on this one, Past the Horizons, which was so triumphant I wanted to salute it. It was such a glorious riff, my god, fantastic. If you're going to go check out anything from this band, go look for the track Past the Horizons. Drums, they're right at the front, I think, of this. Definitely a bit more focus of drums on this one. Flat sounding double kick, that sort of pitter-patter like rain on a window kind of double kick. I really enjoyed the sound, the production, and just overall the songs on this one. So yeah, Frozen Grave, international band of French and Finnish members from bands that you may know. Definitely worth checking out, and pretty damn good for a freebie. Last album we're going to show here is a 2-piece Slovakian project. I've got to give mad props to my friend Ben Brain Smasher, because he's been singing the praises of this one for quite a few months. I'm sure because of that, a few of you will be able to recognize what I'm going to show here. I think it may have been his album of the year. Stangarigel, Na Savir Srdca. Man, it's Slovakian, what can I do? He convinced me to order this because of how often he was going on about it. He sent me private messages saying, have you got it? You should get it. I did. Thank you very much, Ben. Ordered straight from the label Hexen Cave Productions in Slovakia. Came in only about 2.5 weeks, so that's better than most countries. I've got something coming from the States at the moment by good old USPS that's currently at 37 days and is in the UAE. But we're not here to talk about the quality of USPS. We're going to talk about the quality of Stangarigel. This is some very mystical and triumphant sounding black metal, if there ever was some. One of those sort of folkish, pagan sounding albums that has so many varied instruments all happening at once. You get like simultaneous acoustic guitars and distorted guitars playing at the same time. Lots of drawn out keyboard chords over the drums. The drums are very relaxed sounding, and the vocals are really gravelly and ancient sounding vocals. I really love the sound of them. They really fit the mood of this album here from Stangarigel. I'd say it's a real big soundscape that approaches Olva's Bergtat. Olva's best album. I think a lot of people would agree with me there. And I think Stangarigel are definitely trying to play homage or play in that style. Lots of similarities. Also, I'd say Goat Horns era Nocturnal Mortem. That very folkish-y, paganishy kind of thing going on here. But from Slovakia. The vocals and drums are handled by a rather unknown entity called Stalagnat. Haven't been able to find out much about him. But the strings and the synth are played by Adam, who was from a well-known band, Malakap. Oh, I can never work out how to say this guy. Malakapatan. I'm terrible at saying names today. But yeah, by extension of that band, who I've actually not heard, there's another band called Remarath, and I've got their album, and that is pretty weird, but very adventurous sounding black metal. So that has made me keen to go check out Malakapatan. Oh, whatever, guys. But anyway, Ben told me I should check them out as well, so I will. But for the moment, I'm very, very happy with Stangarigel. It is an excellent album. Take a look at the inside here. It is a gatefold. Very, very sort of almost dungeon synthy looking kind of thing going on here. Like you're flipping through the pages of an old fantasy novel. Yeah, love the look of this one. We get in this jacket here, a little poster, which has our guy in a old looking forgotten building or cave entrance or something going on there, which is very nice, and the LP itself, which I will pull out of the jacket and is here on just black wax, but very nice, and an excellent album here from Stangarigel, Na Savir Srdca, and that's Srdca, so what the hell do you want me to do with that word? Anyway, that has been this black metal update. 12 albums I've shown you, it's been quite delayed. Apologies for that. There is more black metal I'm going to show at some point, but this one will have to do for now. Hope you did all enjoy. If you did, please like, subscribe. Check out the description because YouTube links to everything I've shown will be there so you can listen to it. And make sure you check out this thing, check out this thing, and thanks for watching.